there are business reasons you need to pay attention to your culture. And all this is in your handout. About 3 in 10 workers, according to a study by Gallup, are truly engaged, which means about 70% of your workforce is not. Some are retired, they just haven't told you yet. So let's talk about the word leadership for a moment. How many of you have read the book, it's quite a few years old now, Good to Great? I bet many have. So it was a research project by Jim Collins and his crew, and they went out and studied great companies that outperformed their competition for long periods of time. What were those great companies doing? And then right after they published the book, some started to decline. Isn't that interesting? They had been successful for a decade, and they got a story written about them, and some of them started to decline. In fact, a few years later, 1 or 2 of them didn't exist. Great companies, Fortune 500 companies. There were about 40 major bank systems here in Michigan in 1990. Today there are 8, according to the president of Comerica. Right after those companies started to decline, about 3 years later, they went out and did another research project. Because all of us are smarter after the fact, right? So what happened to those great companies? And here's one of the findings in the book. You ought to read this one too, because this one might even be more revealing than the first one. And look at one of the key findings. They were great, so let's assume you are, and then they started to decline quickly. What happened? A warning sign, according to his team, in the newest book, was they started not paying attention to what are the key seats in the company and are they filled with the right people today and in the future. And if you own a business that's got 6 employees or 60 or 600, this point is still the right point for you to pay attention to. Do you have the right talent in the right seats? The challenge with that PowerPoint slide is that when I ask people, if I pointed at somebody and asked you to stand up, most people cannot tell me what are the key seats in your company. So how would you possibly know if they're filled with the right people if you don't even know where the seats are?